around with. Does anybody have any questions about the way Hog runs things, about the way we do things? Julio?
Let's go.
At our officers meeting, it was brought up that at the end of the ride, we cannot say, the lead road captains who led the ride cannot say that I'm going home, you can follow me, or I'm leaving if you don't know your way back, or anything of that nature, okay? There's a problem with that. You know, we don't want to strand anybody there, number one, if somebody doesn't know their way back. Years ago, when I first came to the chapter and I went on a ride, I never paid attention to where I was, and I needed to follow somebody back because I got lost, and I still get lost, it doesn't matter. But, what's the issue with that, or the problem with that?
I don't need that. So can everybody hear me? For those of you who don't know me, I usually am too loud for most people, so this should be perfect setting for me. So there is no issue unless you want Harley insurance. So for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, about 87% of your rides are insured by Hog. So if something goes bad on those rides and somebody sues you as individuals or the chapter, we pay for the defense of that lawsuit and any awards given for free. So you don't ever have to worry about defending a lawsuit. We have 2.5 rules in order for that to kick in. You have to follow 2.5 rules, that's it. The first rule is everybody on the ride has to have a waiver, either their annual waiver that you sign your membership enrollment form, or a day of if you're a guest or a minor. Second rule is no alcohol. Period. No alcohol. The half rules, because I always say we have 2.5 rules. The half rule is you got to let me know if something bad happens before I get a lawsuit. And that's a half rule because if you don't do that, we're still going to defend you. I'm just going to be really upset. To answer that question simply, there's 2 answers. Number one, you can do anything you want if you don't want the insurance. So at the end of any ride or in the beginning of any ride, you can ride butt naked down a one-way street, the wrong way, on fire, drinking Jack Daniels. I don't care.
Again?
Just don't call me if something bad happens, because there's no insurance. If you want the insurance, you have to, number one, you have to define your ride. So only you guys can define when your ride starts and when it ends. If the ride ends, it has to end. All right. Now, in other words, if you're riding, most of your rides are probably rides like where you go riding around for a little while and you stop at a bar/restaurant and you put your kickstands down and you guys announce the ride's over. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
Okay, then the ride has to be over and people can do whatever they want. All right. Now, understand this part coming up. You got to understand a little bit of my background. I'm a lawyer. Any other lawyers in here? Nobody willing to admit it? Okay. One of the things they do early on in law school is they suck your conscience out. And so if I'm talking legalities here. So legally the ride has to be over. Now, the difference you're talking about is this. If I'm the ride captain and I led you all to this beautiful place for our gathering, and I said kickstands are down, ride's over, and we're having libations or whatever, there is nothing, absolutely nothing wrong with if I'm sitting at this table going, I'm going back, and see you guys tomorrow, anybody want to come with me? There's nothing wrong with that. There is something wrong with me standing up and going, hey everybody, we're done, let's go. Because that ride is still on now. Because I've given the perception that as the guy who got you there, I'm taking you all home. So if that ride is still on, you have 2 choices. It's either a ride is still on with no insurance because people have been drinking, or the ride's not on. And if the ride's not on, you can't make that grand gesture. So if you're saying, I want to get people home, there's nothing, we've never said you can't get people home. We've never said that. What we've said is you can't make a grand announcement saying, come on everybody, let's go. Because I'll tell you right now, if I get all of these people in a shiny, dark room with a shiny light on their heads, and I go, was the ride still on? Was the ride still on? Was the ride still on? There's going to be some of them going, well, yeah, the ride was still on. The store told us, let's go. And if the ride was still on, the next question is, were there people drinking on the ride? And if the answer to that is yes, then there is no insurance, which is fine. You can make that decision. I'm okay with that. But you just gotta understand when you get insured and when you don't get insured. So if there's alcohol involved, we don't insure it. So it doesn't matter what you say once alcohol's involved.
Excellent.
Does that make sense?
Great, thank you.
You had one.
Same question.
Same question? Okay.
Do you need a road captain to lead a ride?
No. So did everybody hear the question?
Thank you.
Do you need a road captain to lead a ride? No, what you need is a bike in front that knows where it's going.
And it's still covered by the Harley insurance, correct?
Yep. And the question, so he said, is it still covered by the insurance? Absolutely. If you read our charter, which, by the way, big announcement, the new chapter charter is now on the website, and it's open to everybody to read. It's not just for officers anymore. So is the chapter handbook. They went up yesterday. And since I wrote them, I know what they say. The chapter charter does not require a road captain. It never has and never will. Now, the follow-up to that is always from people, especially road captains, so let me premise this with, I don't hate road captains. I am one of our corporate road captains. I lead the Davises to Sturgis Davidson to Sturgis every year. I'm leading our CEO on the ride home. I'm one of those guys. I was a road captain in my old chapter. I was an officer for 10 years, so I don't hate road captains. What I hate is road captains who suck the fun out of riding. And that's a big problem in Hog Nation. Maybe not in this chapter, but in Hog Nation. And what I get from people is, well, you don't want safe rides. I just explained that we insure the rides. Wouldn't that be counterproductive if I said I don't want safe rides? What I don't want is a false sense of safety. So you were up here talking about CPR and first aid training. I love that because he said it to the whole group. Then that's what we want, because everybody in our group should be the best person, best rider they can be. What happens is, and we've all been on these rides or in these groups, you get 10 people on a ride and we've told the group, our road captains will take care of you. And so if we put 10 people on a ride and the head road captain has an aneurysm and goes off the cliff, guess how many people are going off the cliff?
9.
At least 8. The sweep may, and that's sketchy, the sweep may be paying enough attention to not go off the cliff, but 8 of them are going off the cliff, and they're all going off the cliff because, well, God, if he went off the cliff, he's our head road captain. I mean, he must know where he's going. Instead of riding their own bikes, when we're riding in a group, I don't care if it's a group of 2, 10, 30, 100, who rides my bike? I do. Who controls every decision that happens on my bike? So I don't care how good the person in front of me or behind me is, I control my bike. And that's what we want you guys focusing on, is controlling your bikes. Riding your rides. And not, I mean, you gotta have somebody in front who knows where we're going. And you gotta have somebody in back who hopefully has a cell phone. Other than that, we'll insure it, we don't care.
So in other words, if 3 guys at the dealership just happen to show up and say, let's go on a ride, and they're all members of the chapter, and that becomes a chapter ride,
Did they follow 2.5 rules?
we don't know.
Well, what happens?
Well, how do we not know? Are they members of the chapter?
What if 4 guys are at the
Okay,
dealership?
what did we already talk about? You gotta let me finish before you start talking back to me. Because you gotta listen. If we're gonna have a dialogue, you gotta listen. So, did they follow the rules? You said, I don't know. Well, how don't you know? Are they chapter members?
Don't know. What if one of them is not? One of us wants somebody's buddy.
Okay.
He goes on a ride.
Okay. What if somebody's buddy? Okay. What do they got to do to be a chapter ride? Guest has to sign a waiver. Nobody has to be drinking. Now, is there something magical about those waivers that only road captains can touch them? No. If we have 4 people meeting up at the dealership on Saturday, guess how many baggers are out of those 4 people? 3. There's at least 2. At least 2, probably 3, really probably 4. How many people in here are not riding baggers? Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm one of you, thank you, except for work. But everybody else that's riding a bagger, give them some damn release forms, put them in the box, and have them with them. When in doubt, fill it out, and we're covered. We want you guys riding more. It's funny, because we tell chapters all the time, we see this at HOT all the time, so HOT is training we do for the officers. We see this all the time. We stand up on stage and go, guys, go riding. Go riding, follow 2.5 rules, and we got you. And you guys, as chapter people, go, No, that doesn't sound right. No, we need more rules than that. Something's wrong here. No, we can't just go riding. And it's funny because if I went into every one of your tables and I said, if we meet up on Saturday, I'm going to pick on you guys because you're a friendly group. We meet up. Not her. Oh, well, so that's exactly what happens, right? We meet up on Saturday. We just happen to be at the dealership at 70 degrees, like, for that 1 week in July.
Tomorrow.
And we all happen to be there, and, we go, hey, man, you guys want to ride to lunch? And they all go, yes. We don't go, well, golly gee, I'm going to check your tire pressure, and do you have an endorsement? And I need you to, walk a straight line so that I know you're capable. And have you taken advanced rider course training? And no, we go, hey man, you want to go to Jimmy's? You know where Jimmy's is? No? Oh, she does. She's leading. All right, I'll sweep, and we go, right? And we have a great time, and everybody's fine. But as soon as we call it a chapter ride, now all of a sudden we've got all these freak out moments that we got to be, like Captain Safety. And I'm not saying be unsafe, I'm just saying let's get back to riding. Let's just get back to riding. How many of you come to your rides with a road captain leading you to the ride?
Think about that.
How do you get to the rides if a road captain doesn't bring you? If you're a road captain, you have a road captain on your ride. I'll also tell you that, one guy freaked out at the last hop because he goes, well, Jesus, you got to pre-ride the rides. I went, all right, so if you're pre-riding the ride, aren't you on the ride? Yeah, it may bring more people next time, but it's still a ride. It can be a chapter ride. If you want it to be, it doesn't have to be. But if you want it to be, follow 2.5 rules. And the reason I'll explain why I'm so passionate about this is because it's really simple. I got the question at the last hop, can one person be a chapter ride? Sure. What's the risk? Who are they going to sue? Now, legally, you can sue yourself, but we'll take that risk. All right? Because you're not going to collect from yourself, you're going to collect from the insurance company, and we'll deal with that. But the risk doesn't go up until you start adding a lot of people, really. Now, if you want to get argumentative, that one person can ride and run into a school bus full of people and hurt little kids, and they all get mangled, and they sue us. Okay, we'll defend it. Not a problem. Not a problem. As long as you weren't drinking and you had a release for that ride, which your annual release covers all of those rides. Yeah. Oh.
Well, we do the waivers every January.
Yep.
But those 4 people that are going on that ride, what if one of their national membership expired?
Who's the membership officer here?
Here, but she's not with those 4 people to know.
Yeah, but we don't have to know every single day. Do you check memberships every single ride of every single person on that ride?
Yes.
Well, you don't need to. Well, it's never been the rule.
Well,
It's never,
So we just covered our butts.
it's never been clouded. The rule is you have to know when your national memberships expire. You should be at least 30 days out in checking those national memberships. At least 30 days. And you should be telling people if you don't have a national membership, you can't ride with us. If somebody sneaks past, we're going to cover you. But you need to have a process. Now, your process is fine. It's just on the far end of covering your ass. We've never said you need to check every person, every ride. That's a little monotonous. This isn't supposed to be a job for you. And we're trying to help you not make it a job.
Perceptions of what they've heard at hot have led us to that point.
Well, no. So what people perceive at hot
Yes.
and not what they hear
Yes.
at hot are two different things.
Yes.
Good point, makes sense.
Because I know what I say, and I'm the one who teaches that class.
All right, so you're going on a ride. Part of the ride is we're stopping for lunch.
Yep.
Everybody knows there's no drinking, but 2 people drink.
Yep.
So we continue on the ride. What happens since 2 people drink?
If those 2 people are on the ride's no longer insured. So you have 2 choices. They have to leave the ride, or the ride's over.
Go behind the street. It's still on.
No, you can't invite them to go anywhere. You got to invite them to be off the ride. If they happen,
Follow.
If they happen to go on the road the same direction we're going, that's fine, but it can't be, the policy can't be, well, you've had a beer, I'm gonna pick on you because you're sitting right in front. You've had a beer and you've had a beer, you can't ride with us anymore, so just follow him.
No.
No, it's, you've had beers, you can't ride with us, see ya. If they happen to follow, that's fine, but it can't be a wink-wink situation, because once again, when these guys sober up and we get them under a bright light, I'm gonna go, so did they tell you to follow? And they go, oh yeah, they told us to follow the sweep. You don't want that, because now our insurance provider is going to go, that's a violation. So, I mean, look, if you can't go on a ride without drinking, we've got bigger issues. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm not an anti-drinker. I'm just saying if you can't go on a ride once in a while without drinking, you've got bigger issues.
Medical marijuana.
Any issue, so question with medical marijuana. So I'm glad you asked, because that is becoming an issue more and more. It doesn't matter if it's medical or non-medical, by the way. It also doesn't matter, so let me illustrate it this way. How many people in this room are on any medication that says do not operate heavy machinery after taking this medication? There's a few. So guess what a motorcycle is? Heavy machinery.
Don't worry, I'm not riding.
So do we know, on our rides, do we know who's got on that medicine? Nope, we don't. Just like I don't know if you had a beer before you came to the ride. Just like I don't know if you smoked a joint before you came on the ride. Use common sense. Now, if some guy comes walking up and is like, dude, you got Doritos? We might want to have a conversation, right? I mean, I can give you an illustration. When Colorado first passed the law, I was the guest rider at a big, huge poker run. And I'm one of those people that always gets places early. And my dad raised me that way. And I pulled in the parking lot a half hour early, and the two guys who were supposed to lead the ride are sharing a joint. And I'm like, really? They said, I got a card. And I went, don't care. It's zero tolerance. Just like, one beer, you're not drunk. Doesn't matter. Our insurance provider says no alcohol. Nothing that is a danger to the ride. And the key word is knowingly. So if that's a legal term, knowingly means you know or should have known. Right? So again, common sense. Again, if somebody slips through, if we're at lunch and somebody has a beer and we don't know it, that's okay. But you can't intentionally, like if you know one guy's always the drinker, you can't always turn your back while he drinks at lunch and then go, okay, you ready now? What else? Yeah.
Another question about what constitutes a chapter ride. A bunch of us are going to Texas this summer.
Okay.
We're all Hawk chapter members, we've all signed waivers. None of us drink.
I missed that last part, I'm sorry.
None of us drink while we're riding.
Okay.
At that point, never doing it.
Yep.
So it's going to be a 2-week trip. What if every morning we say, okay, we're doing a chapter ride to such and such?
Awesome.
We're clever.
Sure. Yeah, chapter ride's how you define it. So chapter rides aren't defined to an hour ride, a day ride. They can be overnights, but you got to follow the rules. You got to have, everybody on the ride's got to have a waiver, and everybody on the ride's got to not drink during the ride. But it can be multiple days, sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, on a multiple day ride, okay, you get to the motel, you have dinner.
Yep.
Okay. Will you have a drink at night and have that ride continue in the morning?
Yeah.
That's legal.
Absolutely. So I can give you a personal example. So I used to lead the director's ride. Every year, I was the director of my chapter every year. For 10 years, I led a ride over the Mackinac Bridge, whoever brought that up to the upper, I'm from Michigan, I'm from here. I'd ride up over the bridge into the UP, and we'd spend a couple of nights riding around the UP, a couple of days riding around, a couple of nights at a bonfire, then we'd ride home on Sunday. The last year I was in my directorship and I got hired by Harley, I was in a festive mood because that was the weekend I was announcing to my chapter that I would be leaving them. And I had a little more I'm not a drinker, but I decided to have a few that night, and a few led to about a fifth and a half of Jack Daniels. And I was the last one at the fire pit, having a jolly old time. And I woke up the next morning still at the fire pit when they were getting ready to get going. And I packed my bike and sat on it and turned it on and instantly turned it off and went, I'm off the ride. Because I knew I was still not capable of riding. So I removed myself from the ride, and I tease them to this day about whether any of them would have tried to remove me from the ride. Because they should have, because I was clearly still drunk. But it was one of those situations where they were like, he's really going to ride? I mean, they didn't know what to do. It's a tough situation. Luckily, I had enough wits to remove myself, but my wife still went. So we got to use some common sense when it comes to this. And I mean, multiple day rides are fine. You can drink at night. You can do whatever you want at night once the ride's over. Just make sure everybody's ready to go the next morning.
Does the next day constitute a second ride or another ride? Or can it be a continuation?
It can be a continuation. Yeah, you don't need, so like if you have a guest on those rides, you don't need a new waiver every day. The waiver covers the ride. So you define the ride as, Sunday to 2 weeks from now, or whatever, or 2 days or 3 days. Her and then you.
Is the hog insurance,
Go ahead.
is the hog insurance, is that like an umbrella over, so your bike insurance?
So no, completely different. So what our insurance covers is if you get sued, we cover the cost of the defense of defending that lawsuit and the award if given. So we don't cover like the damage to a bike or any of that. It's if we get sued. So if what happens is if you're on a ride and you go down, of course none of you would ever do this, but a guest will do this. You're on a ride and you go down, it's never your fault. It's always the road captain's fault, the chapter's fault, the dealer's fault, Hog's fault, Harley's fault. And the old rule is sue them all. All right, and so what happens is somebody goes down, they say it's not my fault that I went down, I'm suing everybody. If they have a good lawyer, they'll sue everybody. Well, I don't care about Harley Davidson, we have good lawyers. I don't care about Hog, we have good lawyers. I don't care about your dealership, they have good lawyers. What I care about is you. Because defending the laws, if you're the road captain or the ride leader or the sweep or the officers or whoever gets sued, defending that's going to cost you, somewhere between 10 and 20 grand up front just to get a good lawyer to talk to you. And then if somebody's really hurt, the award could be astronomical. The good news is, hog chapters, guess how many hog chapter rides and events you guys do a year in the United States? Because we only insure the United States. So there's 600, if I tell you there's 640 chapters in the United States, how many events do you guys think the United States chapters do a year? 50,000? 15? It's about 20 to 25,000 events a year. We insure all of them. Out of those 25,000 events a year, we get about 10 to 12 lawsuits filed. Out of those 10 to 12 lawsuits, we have to actually defend 1 or 2. The rest of them we get kicked out before they even get going, because they're bullshit. 1 or 2 we actually have to defend. The last time, I've been around 8 years full-time with Harley, and we've lost 1 in 8 years. So we don't lose much, and we don't get sued much, so don't overthink this. Go out riding and have fun, we got you. That's what you gotta know. Follow 2.5 rules, we got you. Yeah.
And it doesn't matter where the chapter ride starts. If we typically meet at the dealership, or if we decide to meet at my house, or we decide to meet in the parking lot of a mall somewhere, it doesn't matter.
Nope, you define your rides. As long as the rides are defined. So I said about 87% of your rides are covered by this. Those are what's called closed events, which means you have more or equal to members to guests. All right, now there are events you guys do. The other 13% are what we call open rides. So those are your big charity rides, your big event rides, your parades, all those kinds of things, where you're inviting the public to come and ride with you. Those aren't automatically insured. You have to apply for insurance. It's a simple process. It's really cheap, and we cover them then. But we got to know, the reason you have to apply is because we got to know how many people are you expecting and what's the route and that kind of stuff. But 87% of what you guys do is covered automatically. Yeah.
2 easy questions.
These are all easy so far.
Okay. The Harley cards. When are you guys going to start doing those so they're online so you can access them on your phone?
The hog cards?
Yeah, rather than having to produce a physical card.
So good news is, it's coming. The question was, when are we going to replace our physical hog cards, which none of you carry anyway, to
We have to carry ours.
to virtual. Well, as a person who just came back from Daytona, I can tell you very few. I got, it's on the bike. Oh, it's in my other wallet. Oh, God love you. So when are we going to virtual cards? So April 1st, oh, it is April 1st.
Fourth.
So I don't know if it launched yet, I haven't looked. In April, Harley Davidson is launching a new app. So for those of you on flip phones, it won't help you. But on smartphones, we will have an app coming out this month. I haven't seen the official launch yet, but it's coming this month. And the second part of that launch will be a virtual card. It won't be out right away, but we are working on it.
All right.
So you'll be able to put your card on this app, and you'll just show it to us when you come to an event.
Question 2, are you ever going to be able to have more than 50 rides on the Harley Ride Planner?
So the first launch of that app is a complete redesign of Ride Planner. And it has, I don't know what the program is called, but it is the latest ride planning technology in the universe.
So I'm going to have to relearn it. All right. Cool.
So those of you who use Ride Planner, I'll be the first one to admit, I ride between 40 and 50,000 miles a year, and I have never once used Ride Planner. I've got over 1 million miles, and I've never once planned to ride on Ride Planner. So I don't know I know it sucks because you all tell me it does. But the good news is the guys who do care about that stuff worked really hard, and it's on phase 1 of the launch as a premium feature. So I don't know a ton of information about it other than it's the latest, greatest technology.
Okay, thank you.
So, yeah.
I've heard something tonight about the 50-50 thing is no longer going to be allowed. Or it's like share the wealth or whatever it is.
I just love rumors. So, no, that's not true. So the question was, he heard 50-50s or share the wealths aren't going to be allowed. First of all, I don't care what you call it. It's gaming. So what they get told at HOT, what officers get told at HOT is know the law. Because every state, guess what? Every state is looking for money. Every city is looking for money. And they are cracking down on gaming or gambling, however you want to put it. And 50-50s, even if they're minor, are technically gaming. And the example we use at HOT is Ohio. Anybody from Ohio? Ohio has cracked down so hard that they are criminally charging officers of clubs that are doing this. So they literally went into a VFW and arrested the officers in the middle of their meeting and took them out in handcuffs over a $150 50-50 they do every week. And charged them criminally. Not only charged them civilly for fines and all that, but they charged them criminally with gambling. We don't want that to happen. So what we say is know the state law. Know the law of your area, which you can just go on to il.gov and it will tell you.
Mike spent the day on there and couldn't find it.
I'll find it for you and I'll let you know. Like for instance, in Michigan, you can give away up to $100 one time a day with no permits or no anything. If it's over $100, you got to go down to the gaming board and pay them a fee. The good news is you can go down on January 3rd, pay them a fee, and get as many of those you want for the year. You just pay the fee up front, and they give you a whole bunch of these little certificates that say you can do this. So just know the law and cover your rear ends. Look, if you're doing $100 50-50s, chances are they'll never come. But it's our obligation to let you know that they're starting to do that kind of stuff. They're actually, in the VFW one in Ohio has actively got a crew that goes to organizations and puts themselves in the organizations to go undercover to scout how much of this they're doing. Because we have nothing better to do. Oh, it costs way more than their recovery. But they're going to stop on gambling. Look, if you're in Nevada, I'd tell you give away anything you want to give away. Because they got no freaking rules there. So, yeah. Oh, yeah.
As far as taxes,
Yeah.
or what we end up taking in from the 50-50, does that go by state too?
Yeah,
Is that
well,
going to put us in a different bracket?
it's more important federally, but you guys are, so I don't want to
We're in
get,
Illinois.
most of you don't really want to care about any of this crap, but I'll be really quick. Are you guys incorporated?
Yes.
So first, unincorporated. But since you're incorporated, and that's one of those things where I told you, I'll be real upfront. We screwed chapters up. We told them years ago when they had a different lawyer to incorporate, and it was the worst advice they ever gave. There's no reason to incorporate a chapter, none. But anyway, it doesn't matter how much money you bring in or bring out, or spend out. You got to file no matter what.
Right, we do.
And you're not for profit. You're not a charity, you're a not-for-profit, and there's a difference. So you're a C